They like this. They are attracted. Then the teachers come in and they see this disturbance. Prahlad, what are you doing? Stop this now. Stop this. So the teachers are very worried now. Now Prahlad is brainwashing the other students. So now, after some time, Hiranyakashipu wants a progress report. Prahlad! Prahlad comes in. Hiranyakashipu sits him on his lap and smells his head. Anyone who's had a son or a grandson, I testify that there's such a nice feeling when you smell the head of your son or grandson. It's a wonderful, I learned it from the Bhagavatam. So when I had my grandson, I used to do that and I said, yes, Bhagavatam is correct. So Hiranyakashipu smelled Prahlad's head. So Prahlad, yes, Father. Still, Prahlad is meek, mild, humble, gentle. Tell me, boy, what is the best thing you have learned in school? And Prahlad gives that classic verse. Shravanam kirtanam Vishnu smaranam padasevanam Archanam bandhanam dasyam sakyam atmanavedanam Iti pung sarpita Vishnau bhaktischan navalakshana Kriyate bhagavati adha tanmanye ditam uttamam. Prahlad said to his father, as far as what I have learned from my spiritual master, the topmost education, uttamam, is to hear and chant and remember Vishnu, to worship his lotus feet, to offer 16 kinds of worship, to serve him, to befriend him, and ultimately give one's very heart and soul. This is the topmost. And when Hiranyakashipu hears this, that Prahlad is talking about worshiping his greatest enemy, Vishnu, he throws him off his lap. No more affection. A few seconds ago, he was smelling his head and embracing him. Now he throws him off his lap. You are my enemy. Now, yes, even though you're my son, you are like a disease. You are like fire. You must be destroyed because you are partaking on behalf of the enemy. Servants, take him away and have him killed. So they take Prahlad away and they torture him in so many ways. They circle him, demons and demonesses circle him, chindi, bindi, chop him up, pierce him. But no matter what they do, nothing happens to Prahlad. Then they take Prahlad and put him in a big pot of boiling oil to make pakora. But nothing happens to Prahlad. Then Hiranyakashipu takes him to a mountain cliff and throws him off the cliff. But who captures him? Krishna. Krishna captures him. Nothing happens to Prahlad. Then he takes Prahlad, throws him under the feet of the elephants. What does the elephant do? Takes his trunk, puts him on his head. Hiranyakashipu tries so many ways to kill his son. Finally, he gets his wife, Prahlad's mother, and he puts poison in Prahlad's food. What does Prahlad do? He takes the food, offers it to Krishna, eats it. The poison does not act. Hiranyakashipu can't understand. Now he's freaked out. I've tried to kill this boy in so many ways, but he has some kind of mystic power. Something about him, I don't know, but I can't kill him. Somehow I have to figure this out. Now, let's go back to when Prahlad is preaching to his classmates. When the boys became attracted to Prahlad because of his preaching, the boys asked him, Prahlad, you're one of us. Where you didn't learn this in the school. You certainly didn't learn it from your father. Where did you learn this? And Prahlad said, oh, I will tell you a story. When I was in the womb of my mother, Kayadu, my father was away doing austerities and penances. So Indra and the demigods were thinking, the child in the womb of that mother must be another great demon. We can't have another one. We're going to kill. As soon as Kayadu gives birth, we're going to kill. But Prahlad said, when the demigods were taking my mother, Narada Muni came. And Narada Muni said, stop! You cannot harm this child. This child is special. He's a devotee of the Lord. Even if you tried to kill him, you would not be able. And that reminds us of that famous verse in Bhagavad Gita. Kauntaya pratajana hi no me bhakta pranasyati. Krishna had Arjuna declare it. Declare it boldly. My devotee never perishes. So whenever I hear that verse in Bhagavad Gita, I immediately think of Prahlad. So Prahlad said, the demigods headed by Indra, they respected Narada Muni. And so they released Prahlad's mother. And Prahlad's mother was very worried. She simply wanted to deliver the child. So very interestingly, Narada took her to his ashram. Very unusual that Narada took her to his ashram to give protection. He said, you can stay here in my ashram till you deliver your child, then you can return and everything will be fine. You will be protected. So while Prahlad's mother, Kayadu, is in the ashram, what is Narada Muni going to do? Narada Muni only does two things. He chants and he preaches. That's what a devotee does. What's a devotee? A devotee is someone who chants the holy name and preaches the message of Krishna. That's all it takes to be a devotee. You put a devotee here, you put a devotee there, he's still going to be a devotee. Whether it's San Diego or Russia, or a devotee is a devotee. He can't be something else. No matter where he goes, he's going to be a devotee. So Narada is instructing Prahlad's mother in the science of Krishna consciousness. But Narada is very intelligent. He knows that even though he's speaking to the mother, the child in the womb is hearing. That's why it is instructed that when a woman is pregnant, she has to be very careful what she eats, what she hears, what she sees, because all of that is going to have an effect on the child in the womb. It's such a heavy responsibility. In the case of my wife and our daughter, what did my wife do? She simply read Krishna book out loud. And to this day, my daughter, I can ask her a question from Krishna book, she knows it, because she was conceived and raised in the womb on Krishna book. And when Mitravinda, that's my daughter's name, was a little baby, that same thing continued. Krishna book. And my wife would have a big picture book. Who is this? Yashoda. Who is this? Kamsa. Who is this? He had a big picture book. Yes. So this science of Krishna consciousness is very practical and it works. So Prahlad said, I heard everything that Narada was speaking to my mother, so that when I came out, I was already self-realized. Unfortunately, my mother, she couldn't get it. She couldn't understand it. So it went one ear, out the other. But me, I understood. And the boys, they asked Prahlad, well, tell us more about this Krishna consciousness. So Prahlad explained basic concepts of Bhagavad Gita. But one of the things Prahlad said, Komara acharat pragyo dharman bhagavatan iha, my dear boys, when should this Krishna consciousness begin? Some people think, oh, when I get old, I will do Krishna consciousness. But Prahlad said, no, Kaumara, from the age of 5. This is when instruction in spiritual life begins, at the tender age of 5 and continues. Because the longer you wait, the harder it's going to be. One of my favorite stories I will tell, when I used to go to Panama every year for preaching. So one time I visited this place, and there was one man, Indian man. He was known as a drunkard, womanizer. So he saw me. He said, Swamiji, oh Swamiji, can you give me blessings? So I said to him, what is it you do? He said, oh, I love to go to the bars and drink. I love to watch the dancing girls. So I said, you know better than that. When are you going to develop spiritual life? Now this guy was 70 years old, okay? So I asked him, so when are you going to start? He goes, oh, when I get old. He's 70 years old, but he's thinking, I'm not old, that I'm going to start Krishna consciousness when I get old. I shook my head. I said, you're doomed. Nothing's going to save you. You have to start now. You're already old. And Prahlad said it's supposed to start from the age of 5. So Prahlad also, many in those chapters that Prahlad is instructing, such nice instructions. One of them is, just as how many of us search after distress? Anybody here chase after distress? Right? You don't do that. Everybody's trying for what? Happiness. But here's the point Prahlad's making. Even though we don't try for distress, does it not come? It comes, even though we don't want it, it comes. So Prahlad says, in the same way, your material happiness, even if you don't try for it, will also automatically come. So Prahlad's solution is, happiness and distress on the material plane is automatically going to come to you. Better use your time and energy to prosecute Krishna consciousness. All right, now let's go back to Prahlad and Nrisingha-katha. So, Nrisingha-katha has tried to kill Prahlad time and time and time again. He has failed. So he's at his wit's end. And he calls Prahlad, Prahlad, where do you get your powers to defy me? And Prahlad, again, meek and humble, says, the source of my strength is the source of your strength, the source of everyone's strength. It comes from God. And Hiranyakashipu says, I am God. I am the supreme. And very interesting, Prahlad said, no, you are not God. So even though Prahlad is meek and humble, when his father says that he is God, Prahlad protests, no, you are not the supreme. You are not God. So then, Hiranyakashipu, laughing at his son, Prahlad, you talk about God. Where is your God? And Prahlad says, my God is everywhere. And Hiranyakashipu says, Prahlad, you're just a 5-year-old boy. This is all gobbledygook nonsense. God is... Okay, if your God is everywhere, is he in this pillar? And Prahlad said, yes, my Lord is in the pillar. And Krishna had to keep true the words of Prahlad. So Hiranyakashipu told Prahlad, he drew his sword. Watch, Prahlad, I will now kill your so-called God, and then you will bow down and worship me. So Hiranyakashipu thrust his arm with the sword into the pillar. And when he did that, there was this tremendous, all-powerful sound that no one had ever heard. A roaring sound that was just stupendous. And Hiranyakashipu was, what is this? And out came Lord Nrisingha-katha. And the Lord was angry. He was head of a lion, four-armed form, human form. So Nara Hari, Nrisingha, half man, half lion. But he's God. He's not an ordinary lion. He's God himself. And he's angry. And he's roaring. So Nrisingha and Hiranyakashipu begin their fight. And Hiranyakashipu has all kinds of mystic powers, and he thinks that he's going to be able to kill Nrisingha-dev, but Nrisingha-dev is easily able to escape. And Hiranyakashipu tries to grab Nrisingha, but then immediately he's outside his grip. Hiranyakashipu would go into the air and down here, then appear there. Nothing was phasing Nrisingha. And the description is given that when a snake captures a mouse, the snake will swallow the mouse, then let it go. Swallow, let it go. Swallow, and eat. He plays with the mouse. So Nrisingha-dev was playing with Hiranyakashipu. And at the right time, not day, not night. Not inside, not outside. In other words, in the doorway. Not on the land, not in the sea or the air, on his lap. And not any weapon, just his fingernails, which were powerful like thunderbolts. And at that dusk moment, Lord Nrisingha-dev took Hiranyakashipu on his lap and with his nails gouged out his intestines and then put it around his neck like a garland. Then Hiranyakashipu found the heart. Nrisingha-dev found the heart of Hiranyakashipu and plucked it out and threw it on the ground, because that heart of Hiranyakashipu was pure, rotten filth. Demon, evil, pure evil. And then Hiranyakashipu is dead, just like Prahlad was also thrown off the lap. Hiranyakashipu was thrown off the lap of Nrisingha-dev. And he's still roaring. And hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Hiranyakashipu's soldiers come to attack. And Nrisingha-dev assumes a huge form with hundreds of arms, and just with his nails, make a great movie, huh? I would love 3D. It'd have to be 3D. That scene where Nrisingha-dev appears with all these arms and all the warriors are coming. That would be the blockbuster film of all time. Huh? Now, I'll play Hiranyakashipu. But I'm too small. So, all the soldiers are defeated. And Nrisingha-dev is sitting on the throne, and he's still roaring. So all the demigods come, one after another. Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Chandra, all the demigods come and they offer prayers because they don't know what Lord Nrisingha is going to do next. He's still roaring. He's still angry. So all the demigods come, offer their prayers, but the Lord is still roaring. So then Brahma sees Lakshmi, his wife, and says, please, calm your husband down. And she goes, no. I've never seen him like this. I am not going in front of him like this. So Brahma then sees Prahlad, and he says to Prahlad, go, do something. So Prahlad does full obeisances to Lord Nrisingha. And when Lord Nrisingha sees Prahlad, Tavakara Kamalavare Nakam Adabhuta Sringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam. Everybody. Keshavadrita Nadahadi Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare. The Lord puts his hand on Prahlad's head and he stops roaring. Nrisingha Bhagavana Ki. And because Prahlad was touched by the hand of Nrisingha-dev, Prahlad stood up and offered 43 special prayers to Lord Nrisingha. And anyone who has read that chapter, the shlokas are very long. What's that verse called? The meter? The Brahma Samhita? Yeah. So these long prayers. And, thank you. And the Sanskrit and the deep meaning of those, it's a fabulous, chapter 9 is that chapter, if you want to study those prayers. Such beautiful philosophy. If I had another hour, I would do an hour class just on the prayers. But I know I'm also hungry, so don't worry. So Prahlad offered the prayers to the Lord. Excellent prayers. As I said, 43. And Nrisingha Bhagavan says, my boy, my dear Prahlad, because you were my devotee, because you believed in me, you had to tolerate so much harassment, so much terrorism. I want you to take a benediction. And Prahlad says, no. Am I a merchant? Do I worship you in exchange for something? No. You are my master. I am your servant. There's no need for anything else. I am happy being your devotee. I don't need anything from you. I'm not a businessman. But Lord Nrisingha said, no, I insist. You must take a benediction. So here's another very instructive point. Prahlad says, okay, if I must take a benediction, then I pray that since I've been born in a demon family, naturally I'm going to have attraction for materialistic life. Please see to it that in my heart there are no more material desires. That is called pure prayer. He doesn't want anything from the Lord other than to serve. That is what we call pure devotional service. That is called love of God. But Nrisingha-Dev said, yes, but you can do more. You can ask for more. So Prahlad said, my Lord, please save my father from going to hell. That's another symptom of a devotee. Compassion and mercy. So Lord Nrisingha says, yes, Prahlad, you can do the funeral ceremony for your father. And then, Prahlad, I want you to rule as king of the demons. Don't worry, you will be protected. But I want that you should rule the king, this race of Daityas and Danavas. Now, it's not mentioned there in 7th canto, but in Krishna book, we find another detail. That at this time, Lord Nrisingha told Prahlad that never again in his dynasty would the Lord kill anyone.